California, your home state, my home state, give us a status report from the left coast, if you would.
I think this story probably illustrates how bad things are. I ran for governor, as Tucker pointed out. I ran in the recall election. It was a two-part deal. The first part is, do you want this man recalled? And if 50% plus one had said yes, whoever got the most votes on the replacement side would have become governor. I got 49% of the votes on the replacement side. The next highest person got 9%. The 49% was exactly the same percentage Schwarzenegger got in 2003 when he successfully recalled a previous governor. Since then, there are 5% more registered Democrats, 25% fewer registered Republicans, and 50% more registered independents, and independents in California vote Democrat. There hasn't been a Republican elected statewide in California in 20 years. So the race is over. I raised $27 million in 8 weeks, 3.5 million votes. California has 58 counties. On the replacement side, I carried 57 of 58 counties. The only one I didn't carry was San Francisco. I didn't spend one dime or 1 minute campaigning there because I thought it was a lost cause. I lost that by 149 votes. So the race is over, Tucker. I go to a restaurant on the west side of LA to meet a buddy of mine. He's late. So I'm sitting at a table. There's a table next to me with two ladies. I think they feel sorry for me because I'm sitting by myself. We start talking. Turns out they're 85 years old. They'd known each other since the second grade. One was celebrating her 85th birthday, and they told me they were Jewish. One said she was a human rights activist. One said she was a psychotherapist. And then about 15, 20 minutes into the conversation, one of them said, wait a minute, I know you. You're that guy that ran for governor. You're that Larry Elder. She said, guess who we voted for? I said, you didn't vote for me. She said, how do you know that? I said, let's see. We're on the west side of LA. You're both Jewish. You're a human rights activist. It doesn't take Colombo to put that together. You didn't vote for me. And they said, we didn't. Let me ask you something. How do you feel about the way Gavin Newsom shut down the state in a more severe way than did any other governor because of COVID? While sitting up there at that French Laundry restaurant, yucking it up with the very same people that drafted the mandates, not wearing a mask, not social distancing. They said we were outraged by that. How do you feel about the fact that 1 million people have left California in the last 3 years, the first time anybody's left this state in 150 years? We've lost friends. How do you feel about the homelessness? They both told me that they had a homeless encampment near their homes and they were outraged by it. I said, how do you feel about the quality of schools? Do you have kids? Yes. Did you put any of your kids in the Los Angeles Unified School District? No, we would not, because the schools are substandard. So here we are completing each other's sentences, and you didn't vote for me. I said, have you ever had a conversation with a conservative Republican before? They said, no. She said, what are you drinking? I said, double vodka, splash of cranberry. Other one said, what are you eating? I said, well, I was going to have steak. Now I'm going to upgrade it to lobster if you pay for the meal. So we had a marvelous time. They had never had a conversation. Another one, I have some back issues, and so a buddy of mine recommended a massage therapist. So he gave me an address. I'm assuming it's going to be some office building. I turn down a residential street. It's a house. I knock on the door. Lady opens the door. She's got tattoos everywhere, ear piercings everywhere but her eyeballs. I smell this big flume of marijuana. Not that I would know what that smells like, of course. I've read about it. So she's working on my back and she's playing Motown music, which is my favorite genre of popular music. And you name the song, I can tell you about it. They played My Girl. I said, that was written by Smokey Robinson. He wrote the song for David Ruffin, the lead singer of the Temptations. This song is written by Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was trying to dissuade it from doing that What's Going On album by Berry Gordy because he wanted to control it. I went over every single, and she said, I know who you are. When you contacted me to make your appointment, I knew who you were. I wasn't going to say anything. Had I known you were this funny and this personable, I would have voted for you. I said, do you know any Republicans? She said, no. I said, none? She said, no. I said, news bulletin. We have personalities. We have senses of humor. I mean, honestly.
Well, I mean, in her defense, I remember that campaign very well, and I think the LA Times called you a white supremacist.
No.
Maybe she thought you were a white supremacist. I don't know.
Let's be accurate. I was called the black face of white supremacy.
Sorry.
I worked very hard for that title, Tucker.
What does that even mean? I never figured. That's like a Zen cone. That's the sound of one hand clapping. I don't even understand it.
I've been on radio for 30 years. And the first 6 months I was on radio, every third caller called me an Uncle Tom or a sellout or a bootlicker, bug-eyed bootlicking Uncle Tom, Sambo Tom. So I'm on the radio for about 6 months, and I walk into a restaurant, and there are a couple of brothers sitting on a brick wall. Based on the way they were dressed, they weren't investment bankers. And one of them said, "Larry Elder, I hate you, and I love you. Come on over here." Now, Tucker, I'm thinking if they were going to shoot me, they'd have done it by now. I can't outrun a bullet, might as well go over there. So I went over, he goes, "You know, I've been listening to you about 4-5 months now. And at first I couldn't stand your black ass. But the more I started listening to you, more I said, he ain't doing nothing but telling people to get off their ass and stop complaining. You're like castor oil. It don't taste good going down, but it's good for you. Keep it up." All I'm doing is telling the truth. You mentioned truth. George Floyd, 4 months worth of protests, violent protests, 25 people killed, 2,000 police officers wounded, $2 billion in insured property damage, maybe another billion or two in uninsured property damage, Tucker. All because of what happened to George Floyd. However you feel about what happened to George Floyd, however you feel about what Derek Chauvin did or didn't do, there is zero evidence that what happened to George Floyd had anything whatever to do with his race. Zero. The lead prosecutor was a black man. And I'm a lawyer. The most important part of a trial is the opening statement. And in the opening statement, he took pains to say the police in general were not on trial. The Minneapolis PD in general was not on trial. This individual is on trial for what he did or what he didn't do to George Floyd. And he never even intimated that the officer committed a hate crime. He was never charged with a hate crime. Yet you had all these protests all over the country based upon the assumption that what happened to George Floyd had to do with his race when there was zero evidence of it. The police kill more whites every year than blacks. They kill more unarmed whites every year than blacks. Most people couldn't name an unarmed white person because nobody cares. If an unarmed white person gets killed, as my mother puts it, he's just a dead fly. But an unarmed black person gets killed, in comes CNN, in comes the New York Times. They make a big deal out of it without any understanding whatsoever what's really going on. It's been studied for decades. The police are more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black person than a white person. By far. It's a lie. There's a website called policemag.com. And they asked self-described, very liberal people, how many unarmed black men did the police kill in 2019? 50% of the self-described unarmed black people thought 50% of the self-described liberals thought the police killed 1,000 unarmed black men in 2019. 8% thought they killed 10,000. What you ask about the regular liberal people, self-described, 39% of self-described liberal people thought the police killed 1,000 unarmed black men in 2019. 5% thought they killed 10,000. The answer, according to the Washington Post database, was 12. 12. That's the gap between what the left thinks is going on versus what is really going on, which accounts for why we had 4 months of protests in the streets of America in 2020.
So the numbers you just cited were publicly available. Yes. They were right there.
Right there.
But no one cited them except you and a few other people. So this is my last question and most important question before I bring Bobby Kennedy out. What advice would you give to the people in this room, since you are in that 1/100th of 1% of the population who says what he really thinks? How would you encourage people to have heart to do the same? What makes you different? Why are you able to just go on the website, see that it's incorrect, and just say it in public when most people are afraid to do that? What advice?
It's what you said in your monologue. Think for yourself. Use your own judgment. Be skeptical. Ingest the news in a discriminating way. The Media Research Center found that ABC, NBC, CBS, 85% of their coverage was positive regarding Kamala Harris and Walz. 93% of it was negative regarding Trump and Vance. And ABC News was the worst. Of 25 stories they've done since Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee, 100% have been positive. 93% of the ones for Donald Trump have been negative. And ABC alone from CBS, NBC, is the only one of those three that has never referred to Kamala Harris as a liberal or even a progressive. You're being lied to. use your own common sense, use your own judgment, and thank goodness for alternative sources of news like Tucker, like a Glenn Beck.
Think for yourself. It's not that hard.
That's not that hard.
Larry Elder, you're a hero. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.